happy Friday. What a treat. We don't usually come to you Friday, so this is a little bit different, but we got to keep you on your toes and we appreciate you being here with us. I hope that you have a wonderful week. As you know, Greg has some news to share with us in terms of all things cool tech, and I look forward to this every single week, so I'm glad he's going to keep us up to date there. I'm going to definitely talk about business finance this week because we have a lot to talk about on that front, right? And of course, welcome to the show. As you know, we always monitor your comments throughout, and it wouldn't be a show without you. So thank you so much for making the time. We already see Sadiq joining us from YouTube Live. So thank you so much, Sadiq, for being here. And a big welcome to In the Loop with Winnie and Greg. I'm Winnie Sun, longtime financial pro, CNBC council member, Forbes contributor, and host of Level Up that can also be found on NASDAQ and many other platforms. But welcome, most importantly, happy Friday to you, Greg. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it's so good to be here. And yeah, different day than normal, but thanks everybody for joining in for the show. It is always so great to see all the comments coming through. And I'm Greg Nibbler, longtime tech reporter covering all kinds of things. And today I do have what I think are some pretty cool things to talk about when it comes to tech and some big news items. There's so much happening, but we always want to see your comments, your questions, everything that you've got that you want to talk about. Please drop those in there. Let us know. We love hearing the feedback and answering questions. And this is interactive. We're a live show. So whatever platform you're watching on, thank you so much. Drop those in there. And yeah, a lot of good stuff to talk about today, but I do have some more things too that we're going to be covering here in just a little bit. But we need to start off talking to Winnie about what is going on with the world of finances. All I know is I see headlines all week long, all kinds of things happening. I don't know what all that means. Winnie can make all sense for us.
See, Greg, I love how you said that you have a lot of wonderful, great things to share with us, because that means that we have a lot to look forward to hearing. But it's interesting because I was wondering, I don't know, maybe this is all because Greg and I are back together on the show again, because while you were talking, Greg, I was watching the market. It was actually improving while you were talking.
Good. See, there we go.
Yeah, we'll take it. Let's tell you what the market is doing currently, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed on this. So currently the Dow's up 43 points. We are live, and that's actually what it's doing right this minute. NASDAQ is up 174 points. I'll take it. For those of you who are invested in things like technology, this is probably some welcome news for you. The S&P is also up 15 points currently. Let's hope that it continues and we close at these numbers. Maybe we can revisit them again while, after Greg shares his bit, and hopefully it continues. But as you know, this has been a really, really worrisome week. Now, those of you who are investing, which I hope all of you are investing, this week was probably pretty stressful. We heard from the Federal Reserve, they've increased interest rates by 0.75%. And now the interest rate is, at sort of the highest level since 1994. Inflation continues to be a dire thing, not just here in the United States, but in multiple countries across the globe. Things are just costing way too much. So the Fed is starting to be very, very proactive about trying to get that down. And I thought I would share this with you. In fact, this was a chart that I found from CNBC for the S&P 500. And I want you to take a look at this because if you want to you can scroll down a little bit, you can see the chart. I'm going to show you because there you go, right there. See the S&P 500 weekly performance? Look at that line. So for those of you who are invested, now a lot of people invest in the S&P 500. This is what you're probably experiencing. So if you haven't looked at your statements, you haven't gone online to look at your money, you probably want to just hold off right now unless you can look at it and not get stressed out, which is kind of where I am at. I mean, I've been through quite a bit of market corrections here. And so we know that these things in time will recover. But the key thing is to stay focused, stay relaxed, and stay for the long term. Now, the Dow briefly bounced above the 30,000 mark just recently, but then fell below that mark around. There's a lot of talk about recession. Now, interesting enough, I've been getting a lot of questions. Are we in a recession yet? And I'll tell you, it's sort of this line of whether we're in inflation or not. And even if you don't feel like we can be in a recession or it's a really scary thought, I just want to tell you this: even if we're not quite in a recession as it is now, people are already feeling like we are. People are feeling less optimistic. People are feeling overwhelmed. People are feeling stressed out. They're being worried, and they're changing the way that they're spending. So whether or not we are technically in a recession or not, the hard fact is that we already feel like we're in a recession. So what does that mean? And I want to share this with you because inflation now is over 8.6% for the last 12 months ending. Well, this is the number ending in May in comparison to the previous year. But this is even more pressing. So food that we eat at home, most of it's average over 11%. That's sort of inflation of food. Okay. And this is sort of the largest 12-month increase since 1979. In fact, eggs, if you eat eggs, I have to go buy eggs this weekend. Eggs are up over 32%. Okay. That's crazy. Milk is up over 15%, almost 16%. And poultry, which is AKA chicken, is up over 16%. So that whole 8% inflation number is not really accurate if a good portion of your household budget is groceries, which I think we would agree most of us, outside of shelter, most of us spend that much more on, most of our budget goes to food. And the typical US household spending now has increased by $460 a month, not like a
Wow.
year. That's crazy, right? I know, Greg, it's kind of shocking.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Just that
No,
is
please.
staggering. That's
It's
crazy.
staggering, right?
$460 a month.
It's crazy. Yeah. And I don't know about you. I feel like actually food has increased significantly higher than like 11, 10, 20. I mean, it feels almost like in some places double. And not only
It,
that, it's not just double, but you can't even get some of the food that you want to eat.
right. Yes. There's some empty shelves and the price. I mean, I just went to the grocery store yesterday and it is crazy. Like looking at just how much it was and even the on sale price is
Hmm.
way more than what it was, it feels like anyway, 2 months ago. So
2 months.
yeah, it's so noticeable.
It's so noticeable. Yeah. And I think especially since we've had to give up so much because of this pandemic already, right?
Yeah.
Our lives have changed, the way we're spending has changed. It's just sort of amplified. So I want to share a little bit about like how, the Fed's increasing interest rate and how's that's going to impact, and what you should expect it impacting you. Okay. Because sometimes when the Fed talks about this stuff and it's being reported in the news, it doesn't feel like that relatable. So I want to share like what this means to each of us. Well, number one, you're seeing already the first one, which which basically more stock market volatility. Now, the key to remember on that part is unless you sell your positions, you really haven't realized that loss. So if you have a good diversified portfolio and makes sense for you, you're probably better off just holding on to it and not, making dramatic changes. If you decide you want to make a dramatic change, definitely seek out a professional and talk to them about that before you do that. Also, the second thing is, increases our chances of going into a recession, which we're sort of already seeing yesterday, right? Yesterday the Dow was down over 900 points at some point. So again, expect this. Okay, don't let it stress you out, but expect it. The third thing is, of course, that debt is going to cost a lot more. So if you have credit card debt, mortgage debt, car loans, Sadiq already heard me talk about this earlier this week. If you have those things, try to get those things paid down as quickly as you can because your debt's going to get more pricey. If you haven't purchased a home yet, right, or you need to purchase a car, um, or some other loan, it's going to cost a lot more. Mortgage rates, Greg, this is probably going to shock you because I know we talked about this before. Mortgage rates now close to 6%, 5.78% as of today.
Wow.
um, and since you and I have been doing this show, we were talking like 2 3, some people were talking 1% when we first started the show, which wasn't that long ago. um, Highest level since 2008. And so 13-year high. So those who haven't purchased a home, yeah, continue to sit on the sidelines might be unfortunately the only way to go. This one I thought was really interesting too, is it's probably going to be harder to find a job. And I want to make sure we talk about that. So you've been thinking about jumping, making changes. Do you know it's probably going to be a little bit more challenging because now that interest rates have gone up, the cost of borrowing has gone up, not only for you and I, but also for businesses as well. So when that happens, businesses start to lay off employees and make changes to their headcount because their headcount tends to be their biggest sort of financial overlay for a company is payroll. So it's going to be more difficult, more competition, and I wouldn't be surprised if what employers are going to will be paying for new positions is actually going to go lower too. The other thing is the national deficit here in the United States is probably going to cost more. So taxpayers, it's going to probably cost us a little bit more money. So I would expect this to translate into higher taxes probably sooner rather than later, which is unfortunate. Um, but one thing that we've noted too is I know many of us are already stretching our budget and finding ways to save as much as we can. That's probably going to continue. In fact, there was a report that came out today from Kroger, who many of you know is the nation's largest grocery chain here in the United States. I know here locally for us, it's Albertsons, I think it's like Kroger's, I think it's like Save On and Safeway, I don't know. But a whole bunch of other chains as well. They've already noticed that people are spending differently when they're buying groceries. They're definitely sticking more to store brands. And interesting enough, people that many people maybe like for Father's Day that's coming up this weekend would normally buy a steak. Well, people are spending less money on beef and now transitioning to pork. So I guess pork is the recession meat. I don't know, but that's what the news is saying. And this one I thought was shocking. And so I see Vicky here, curious to see how you felt about this. I was actually shocked to read this. The brand Revlon, which we know is a huge cosmetic company based in New York, right? It's a huge company, been around forever. I think back in the day they had Cindy Crawford as a model for Revlon. I think multiple celebrities and whatnot have modeled the brand. It's a really well-known brand. I think many of us who have used cosmetics have used some Revlon product. Well, they actually filed for bankruptcy yesterday. They filed for bankruptcy yesterday because they had $3.7 billion worth of debt, and it's become unmanageable because during the pandemic, company sales completely just dropped and just plummeted. So even a company as big as Revlon is going bankrupt. So I think this is just the beginning. There's probably going to be more layoffs. There probably be more company closures if this continues. So this is something that I want to put on your radar. I don't want you to be stressed out and losing sleep about this, but it's good to understand sort of the historical ramifications of increasing interest rates, recessions, and remember that these are things that we saw in history, but in time things get better and they improve and they reach new highs. So just remember that it's not the end of the world. And I'm going to leave you with a positive before we go to Greg, because I'm going to feed off Greg's positive energy because I love it. There's also a study that I've seen that consistently, if you invest into the market, like right at the low of the bear market or close to, which obviously we're in low levels, a year from that point, 1 year, it's not even like 2 years, 1 year from that point, historically has shown that if you're invested in the S&P 500, that you come up over 20% in 1 year. So that's more than double historical returns on the S&P. So just remember that if you're working, you have side hustle, you have some savings that you're able to deploy, and you have a lot of years between now and when you need to use your money, maybe for retirement or your kids' education, do know there's going to be some great opportunities for you to add to your portfolio if you can do that. Now, I wouldn't suggest doing this if you have credit card debt, but if you don't have credit card debt and you have a good job and stability, something to definitely keep on your radar. Okay. And I'm glad because I'm talking and then actually the market keeps going up. So we'll take it. Dow's up 121, Nasdaq's up 215, S&P's up to 26. So, Greg, I'm going to hand it to you, and I'm just going to monitor because I think let's keep the positivity going.
Yeah, it's obviously because we're doing a show on Friday that is going up right now.
They love us.
Definitely, we're affecting the markets for sure. Thank you, Winnie. Though that was so informational, so informative, just on everything that you just talked about right there. I really, really appreciate that because it gives it more context, makes more sense. And as you said, it's not like this is the first time this has ever happened. So just be aware of it, be knowledgeable. That's always so great. So I've got a few things, a couple of things, just news items here to start with that I thought might be interesting to talk about because we brought it up so many times on here, just about Twitter and Elon Musk purchasing Twitter, how that's all going. And so there was a big thing that happened. This was yesterday, I believe, where Elon Musk actually spoke to the Twitter employees finally and did kind of a Zoom call with them, talking to them, and answering some questions, which in turn answers some questions not only for them, but also gives us maybe a little bit more of an idea of what it is that he's going to be doing, because that's still kind of a mystery. So he talked to the employees. He said, for them, if you're a Twitter employee, I don't know how comforting it was, because he mentioned that he prefers people to be in office. Twitter has, I think they said everybody could work remote. So that's probably going to change for some of them. Some people will stay around, some people won't. Sounds like it's some turmoil inside. As far as the platform, though, here we got a little bit more of an idea. So he mentioned two things: TikTok and WeChat, which WeChat, for those, and I'm going to pull up some of my information here too. WeChat, for those who don't know, it's basically kind of an all-encompassing social media platform in China. It's huge. I mean, pretty much everybody's on that, at least in China. And he wants to target more towards that and focus more on entertainment, focus more on the algorithm. He mentioned getting rid of bots. He mentioned maybe people paying to be verified. So he threw out a lot of things, which it's hard to tell what exactly is going to happen and what isn't going to happen, where that's going to go. So it's kind of interesting on where that's going to be. And I'm curious if anybody has any opinions, thoughts on that. I guess it's not a lot of answers, but at least it's him talking about it a little bit more. So going more towards an all-encompassing platform that covers everything, whatever that means. Winnie, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but that's what Elon Musk said.
So, Greg, I want to revisit that, because you said, first off, you said really interesting, the TikTok. I saw on one of the tweets he said, or something said that he thought that TikTok was like next level ADD or something like that. It was like an overwhelming experience. I think that's good, right? To bring in WeChat functions and basically making Twitter like the all-encompassing hub. But one thing that you mentioned that does concern me a little bit: pay to get verified. I mean, you and I are both verified.
Yeah,
we really are who we are, and then we're in the media, so there needs to be, some sort of certification that whoever presents themselves as you or myself is actually ourselves. But
exactly.
It's a little disturbing that you could pay for verification.
Yeah, and I wonder how that would actually work. I mean, because he wants to start focusing more on some paid subscription aspects, and maybe for companies they would have to pay. They want to make more money, so it's going to come from somewhere. But I think making people pay to be verified just seems kind of counterintuitive, because then what's really the point of it?
And then it's kind of like a pay-to-play platform, and I don't know if that's good.
Exactly. Yeah, that I think kind of takes away from it. But again, it's his. If it goes through, it's his baby, so he can do whatever he wants with it.
His baby.
But
what about the working in? Like, what about that, Greg? Like you're saying, everybody has to work in office. I mean, I've been to Twitter headquarters up in San Francisco. It's a beautiful headquarters, but I know from talking to many of my friends up in Northern California that they're very uncomfortable with the pandemic of being. Most of them are still working from home. Like, they don't feel comfortable. Like, they don't feel safe going back to the office. I don't know how they would.
Yeah. I mean, there's the combination of that, and I think people are comfortable now working from home. They've adapted to this lifestyle of remote work and some of the benefits that come with that. And so I'm sure too, in San Francisco or wherever in the Bay Area, wherever Twitter headquarters is, that's probably quite commute for a lot of people. So it's a lot easier to get rid of all that. But that is not how Elon Musk operates, because with Tesla, he's pretty much making everybody come back in. Everybody's got to be there. Same thing with all of his other companies. So sounds like that's what he would like with Twitter as well, is that's how it's got to be. And they're even getting rid of some people who didn't want to come back in for Tesla. So he's made some bold statements about that. So yeah, for Twitter employees, that's probably gonna be how it is, based on what he's said.
He said so far, huh?
Yeah.
And he fired some people this morning, right? Sorry, Greg, that did agree with him. I saw that.
Yeah, that was at SpaceX. So there were some employees who put out a letter criticizing him, and actually part of it was talking about him being on social media, that it's a distraction, and all these posts that he's making, which I can totally understand where they're coming from. It isn't just, I would think it is a distraction. Just how he's posting and what he's doing, trying to stir all this stuff up that doesn't really have anything to do with his business. In my opinion, anyway, and that was their opinion, and they got fired for that. So they fired several employees over that internal letter that kind of went out. Yeah, it's interesting. You know, you're working for the richest guy in the world, so there's certainly going to be some ego there. His companies are very successful, but we'll see where it goes. As far as Twitter, though, I feel like it's going to be changing every time he talks what it's going to end up looking like, but at least we got a little bit of an idea. So that was the Twitter side. One other news thing here before we get into some cool stuff. Amazon Prime Day was announced. So this is a big deal for any kind of selling online. Obviously, we know what Prime Day, although it should be Prime Days because it's 2 days now. It's July 12th and 13th. So that's when that's going to be taking place. And they do have a bunch of deals they've already announced, including free games for Prime members. So you're going to be able to download a bunch of different games and use those. So that's kind of a new tie-in there. That's still developing as we find out what else is going to be involved. And it seems like they're going to be offering in possibly some more freebies for Prime subscribers just to kind of entice you to start buying some more things. So we'll find out a lot more about that in the next coming weeks and what some of the deals are. And I'll make sure that we talk about those here. But the other thing from Amazon is this. So in California, in one section right now, one little area outside of Sacramento, you're soon going to be able to get drone deliveries, Prime Air drone deliveries. It's finally happening. So this is something that Amazon's been talking about for, gosh, it feels like at least a decade, if not longer, that they've been pushing to maybe do this. And there's some other companies that have some minor drone deliveries going on, but Amazon getting into the game is huge. So they said that they're ready. This is in a suburb outside of Sacramento, Stockford, which I'm probably mispronouncing the name of that town. Anyway, they've got a hub there, and that's where they're going to be starting this up a little bit later this year. So they said there's going to be thousands of products, and it will be delivered right to your house, usually into your backyard. They've got different ways they'll do that. These drones are high tech in that they've got all kinds of obstacle avoidance software on there, so they're not going to run into anything, and they can tell if there's a human or a pet when they start lowering the packages down, so they know that you're not going to, try not to hit the dog, I guess.
What about a pool?
I know, right? Or a pool. Yeah, that's true. They do need to. Yeah, that's a concern. I didn't even think about that. We don't have pool issues.
I don't have one either, but I'm just curious,
Blunk. Yeah, it's just your package floating to the bottom of the pool. That's kind of funny. There's going to be some mishaps, but that's what they're saying though. Yeah, coming up. So there's going to be a weight limit. They didn't say exactly what that was. So I don't think you're not going to get your new television delivered by the drone, but some smaller packages that will happen. And it's all going to be around this hub. So if it's successful here, which it probably will be, they'll work out maybe some of the issues that could happen. I would expect it to start deploying rapidly elsewhere, at least down through California in warmer weather places where you don't have as many concerns about weather. I think it's going to happen a lot faster than we realize. So just one area. This is the first time they're doing it, though. First time Amazon is getting approval. So I don't think it's going to be too long before it's down where you are, Winnie.
Very cool. Well, I'm in California, and we have like perfect weather here, so yeah, that would be super cool. But I'm curious. I'm going to be really interested to see this because you mentioned earlier, Greg, the Amazon Prime Days. And I'm going to be really interested to follow that news and how much sales will occur because I'm just going to predict it. I don't think Amazon Prime Days this year is going to do that well. And I think that people aren't going to be spending as much discretionary income. And I suspect that's actually going to trigger more concern financial markets when the Prime numbers come out kind of bleak.
Right. Yeah. Because last year's I feel like did pretty well. Comparatively, just because of bouncing out where everybody thought we were out of the pandemic. Surprised we weren't. But now, with everything else going on, I would think it certainly will slow down, or the deals are going to have to be so good. Maybe there's some leftover inventory people are trying to clear out. But yeah, it'll be a fascinating study from all aspects, tech, finance, everything, to see what happens with that. Yeah. Just if they can entice anybody. Yeah, definitely interesting. Oh, go ahead. Okay, I'll go. So we have the Amazon side, and let's go on to some other cool stuff. So I got two other things here. One of them just has to do with the changing way that we go to restaurants. And believe it or not, I had to narrow down which one of these topics I would talk about because there's multiple pizza robots that are being deployed now to restaurants and to campuses, to all kinds of places. There's two different ones, and I ended up picking this one because they had better video. But that's what it came down to. So everybody, companies, put out good video. This is called Pizza Alola, and it is a robotic pizza chef from Nala Robotics that is able to make all kinds of different pizzas. And that's not actually all it does. It can bake a lot of these. And the thing is, they're saying that this can be deployed to restaurants, or even if you think like stadiums, a lot of places where there are labor shortages.
Mm-hmm.
It can make up to 50 pizzas an hour and 35 different choices of toppings and cheeses and dough and sauces, and all using that kind of robotic arm just to slap this all together. So they're looking at these
I
things.
absolutely love this.
Right? I want one for my kitchen.
Totally, right?
Yeah.
But most importantly, I mean, it's great to take care of supply chain issues for sure. But let's just talk about, I full disclosure, my parents actually owned a pizza store when I was a kid. But the other thing I think is not only supply chain issues and labor issues, but I guess not so much supply chain, I guess, unless there's unlimited pizza. But what I would say is this: I do love the sanitary aspect of this, Greg. We got to talk about that, right? Not having like worried about we've been reading so many crazy stories about people messing up different fast food things that you order, that this to me feels really good.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's, the robot's not going to be slipping anything into your pizza. So that is a good point. This is, not just pizza. So they said that it's going to be able to do, and I think they kind of demonstrated it there, like all the other sides, and I think burgers as well. So it can do a whole lot of things, kind of an all-encompassing little kitchen, and make it quick, safe, fast. I'm sure there's going to be some kind of arguments about, employment. Should this be jobs for people? But there's shortages already. So I feel like this would just free up space for something else. They said it takes about 2 years to really fully recover your costs. So this would be kind of a longer term investment.
That's not too bad. 2 years is not bad for restaurants,
right? Yeah. And then after that, it's just a free pizza maker, that you have going there, maybe some service. They said it'll increase revenue per square foot because you can make it kind of a small area. You don't need as much space, you don't have people in there, making fries, all kinds of things. And this is something. And like I said, this is just one of them. There were multiple pizza bots in the news this week. 3 actually.
That's so cool.
3 pizza bots. One of them was from SpaceX employees who developed one for some reason.
Oh wow.
And then there's this one, and then there's another one that's going to be going out to college campuses. That's going to be as part of like food courts. Yeah.
How cool is that, Greg? Because I know one of the biggest challenges that restaurants have is, in addition to sales and labor, but also you always worry about the health inspector too, right? And so this really can, for a restaurant owner, this is so much less stressful. Probably, you can control cleaning the gear and whatnot. And how cool would that be if, like, as a college student, you could order your pizza on the app, right? And it would send, the payment was all done, and literally you could just walk up and someone would hand you your pizza. Like, you don't even need to communicate the order.
Right.
Done.
I mean, I can tell you as a college student and how much pizza I ordered, I would absolutely be at that pizza robot every day. Like too much. I would be too much. Pizza Pipeline in Corvallis, Oregon got a lot of my money. That's all I'll say. But it's pretty cool. So just seeing where they're going with that and the different kinds of robotics. And I'm kind of thinking I should do a whole episode here coming up, just highlighting some of those different ways that it's changing, because it's changing fast. We've talked about some of the robot bartenders, robot chefs, but really this is an industry I feel like it's getting a little bit overlooked, and there's a lot that's happening there that we're probably going to be seeing sooner than later. Probably sooner than drone deliveries. We'll start seeing more robots in the kitchens and robot cooks and chefs, and at least for the convenience aspect. So that part
in the airport, Greg, like, how we're always rushing to the airport.
Yes, airport's that would be a great example. To not have to wait in line and interact with. Yeah, I'm all for that. I would definitely be for that. A little pizza kiosk that you can go to. And
now you get French fries and chicken strips. That showed in the video.
Right. Yeah. I don't know about the health aspect, but healthy for me. But still, nonetheless, I'd be doing it. So you got that. And then the other thing that's in the news that I want to bring up has to do with travel and vehicles. And we hear a lot about electric vehicles, of course, everybody's working on them, but solar powered vehicles, we've seen some prototypes and we've seen some speculation about those, but now there's one company that is going to be mass producing these. So we're actually seeing one come to production that you're going to be able to buy. So this is from a company called Lightyear, and they've been around for a while, showing some of their demonstrations of different vehicles that they've got, where they have the car. It's not entirely solar powered, but it's lined with solar panels so that you can get some extra charge to it. Not completely charged to it. You still have to plug it in, but you get bonus power. And that is pretty revolutionary, I think, to actually have something that you could put out to market. We've seen a couple, like I said, the prototypes where it can sit there and be powered. You've seen some things maybe for campers where you add some solar power panels, and that'll charge some of the devices within that. And that's all great. This is actually charging the car. So Lightyear Zero is what this is going to be called. And there's kind of their promo video for it. And that's what it looks like. So the solar panels line the top of it, down the back of it. And these things will be able to, let's say, based on just the standard charging, it'll get about 340 miles per charge, which is decent, and that's without solar power though. So that's just the standard plugging it in charge. But the solar panels, they said, will give you up to an additional 44 miles a day just from the solar panels. And that's kind of some good ambient energy you're just collecting just based on the car itself, just driving it around, just having it in the sun. You're getting that extra little bit, which is 44 miles, which isn't anything, especially with the price of gas right now. That's a nice bonus. Added on there.
That is a bonus, and it's a good starting point, right? You can only see that technology get better. I mean, how nice it is, because I know as someone who drives an electric vehicle, like if you get close to the bottom and you see your battery getting smaller, there's definitely an immediate stress level where you're trying to find somewhere to go charge is not a good thing. So having that buffer, yeah, I think, probably need to be more than 44 miles to really take off, but it's a start. We'll take it.
Yeah, it's 44 miles isn't going to get you a ton, but adds in a little bit more to your commute, or if you're just free energy, I guess, added on there. So they've had some other kind of details on that. So basically, it's if you're in a sunny area, you can get about 6 miles of charge per hour sitting out into the sun. So even just sitting there, you're going to get something. And then if it's a more of a cloudier climate, like say here, they compared it to the Netherlands, which is probably here. I'm in Portland, Oregon. For anybody who's saying it's cloudy, you're not going to get as much. You're not going to get as much each day. So maybe 22 miles, but still something added on. And I think it's going to be, I'm interested to see who's going to be purchasing this, because there's the other aspect of it, which is the price. First off, it's going to be in Europe to start with. I don't think this is coming to the US right away.
Vicky says nice looking car, and it's in her neighborhood. So
it's in your neighborhood. You'll be able to get this. But it's going to be about 250,000 euros, which is about $262,000. I'm not sure what that is in pounds, but it's going to be a bit. It'll be pricey to start with. And they said, though, that they're going to be launching another one called the Lightyear 2, and they're hoping that one's going to be out by 2025. And they said that's going to be around $30,000. So that's great. That's a lot more affordable. How efficient is it going to be? That's another question. I mean, you have to think that it's just going to get better and better. So ideally, I don't think you're going to get an entire car where you don't have to plug it in ever, and it's just completely sun powered.
That would be great.
That would be great. That would be amazing.
That's what we got to get to.
Yeah. But if they can get it up to where, you're getting like 100 miles a day just from charging or just from solar panels, that would add up. That would
make it, that would work it worth it. I mean, Vicky makes a good point. She says that, like Britain cloudy, not sure about miles.
Yeah. They said it'll be about half. So about half of what you would get in, say, like Spain or a sunnier climate. They actually directly reference Spain in this, saying you get 44 miles a day there, but cloudier, probably about 22. So it's not a ton of extra per day, but if that's just the starting point, I like the idea of where this is going. I mean, who doesn't like free energy?
Free energy, but I guess, Greg, that kind of makes sense for a car, right? Because like I have solar panels on my house, and one of the things I remember them telling me was that there's a certain amount of maintenance on these panels, right? And I think they don't like last forever. I think there's still life to them, but then that's okay with a car, because in a car you typically don't keep your car for 30 years. Right. So maybe that would sort of make sense. But I think for this to be viable, it's kind of like, I think they have to really work on getting more range for people to be willing to spend that much money. I feel like the consumer base for this model at this price for an extra 44 miles. I don't think this is. I think this is going to be like the home grocer back in the day,
Yeah.
before the pandemic, and everybody now uses Instacart. But I think it might be a little too early, too soon. This might be something that they stick in a museum because I don't know that many people are going to buy this car. I hate to say it. Maybe you should stick, maybe for toys or something like that.
Yeah. And if you're spending $260,000
Yeah.
on this, they compared it, it's like they compared it with a certain Ferrari. It's the same price as that. So
Yeah.
you're buying it for the novelty of it right
Mhm.
now. If they can get the $30,000 version, that's a whole different
That's a
story.
game changer. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't make too much in production of this one, my friends. I think just keep your coins for the next one.
Yeah. Perhaps the $260,000 could be invested better than than this car. But I do like that it's out there though, that they're working on it, and at least that they've gone this far that they are actually producing them. So they feel like they're going to at least break even, I would assume, on it. And then hopefully that can fuel and fund these other versions and get that down there. Because anything that does add to solar energy, to increasing the ability of that industry to create power and the technology behind it, I like that. So if this even just spurs a little bit of it, that's pretty cool. That's pretty
It
cool
is
in my
cool.
book.
And you made
Yeah,
a
I
great
won't be
point,
buying this
Greg.
one either. Though.
Yeah, you won't, because you made a great point, Greg, and Vicky too. I really like that because we got to think about that. Not every location is like California or Arizona where you literally have sun all day long, right? So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. That's 100%. I was just talking to my friend yesterday about solar panels here in Portland, Oregon, where it is
Mhm,
cloudy a lot of the time, and they're thinking about getting them for their house. But
mhm,
there's some days you're going to generate more energy than others. So do you have
mhm,
to supplement it? And it just kind of depends on that. You're still going to be collecting power, even if it is cloudy, but you're not getting as much as, say, sunny Southern California. So it's
mhm. And they're expensive. Panels are expensive. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, that was one other thing you brought up too. I wanted to make a point of, because you're right. Like, those things do go bad, they have to be repaired. So who's going to be
Mhm.
repairing a Lightyear Zero? Is there, I don't know if the auto body shop's going to really know how to handle that. So
Oh,
where do you
yeah,
go
that's
for any
true.
kind of repairs?
It'll be like
Who,
Tesla, where you pretty much just have to take your car just to them to get.
yeah,
I mean, because that's what I do with my Tesla. I mean, that's the only place I can go is to Tesla to get my Tesla fixed. So no matter what they charge, there's really no way to get that cost
no
down. It
choice.
just is what it is. But
Yeah.
yeah, but solar is awesome. Luckily we got solar panels put on the house, way before the pandemic. And I will tell you, like, our monthly electric bill, Greg, is like -60, which means we're basically making money every month, and we're able to sell that electricity back to the local utility, area for our neighborhood. So long term it's
That's
a great
amazing.
solution, but it is a costly when I and we're lucky to get it before the pandemic. Now the costs are, I don't know, I would, for your friend, I would really consider that a little bit, because I think it's just so expensive now.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's different rebate things that are changing. I'm not really well
Hmm.
versed in all of that side of it, but I know there's a lot of factors that go into it. Man, -60. That is not quite the same as my power bill. I will say that here. Different experience. So that's fantastic. But
Yeah.
yeah, just seeing that energy, or seeing just that technology, put to more uses, eventually could bring that price down. We see it more efficient. So even if nobody's, probably most people aren't going to be buying this Lightyear Zero. A few people will, but maybe that'll help them make something better and get some more technological innovation going on. So we'll
Yeah,
have to
we
see
love
where it
it.
goes.
This is
Yeah.
exciting. That's why I love hearing what you share, Greg, because it's like stuff that we get to look forward to. But it's what's crazy is, even in the time that you started sharing with us and we started in the loop, a lot of things you first started talking about, we're already seeing like very close, or they've actually come into fruition.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of crazy with that, and you see something, just a little trickle of this, and then all of a sudden you're seeing companies bring this to market. Like this thing we probably talked about, a solar powered car, I'm sure at some point. There was one that was a big demo one that somebody was showing, but now I don't think it was from this company. It was a different company, but now we're seeing one actually get made. And like you said, maybe this goes into a museum someday, but the next one will be even better and even better,
Hmm.
even better. So if they can show that it's viable, 2 years from now, we could be talking about the new line of, I doubt it, but maybe the new line of Ford solar cars. Probably not 2 years from now, but eventually this could
Eventually.
happen. Yeah.
You know what you should do? Because those of you who, you probably know, many of you probably know Greg from back in the day, but I've been following Greg for a long time. And Greg's kind of legendary tech reporter, because even when he was working at Digital Trends, which, as many of you know, is really, really well known, but Greg was there for many years. And it'll be really fun, Greg, is to see some of your early reports and
Oh
like some of
man.
those, and then compare it to like what we've been doing now and beyond. I think there should be like a trilogy of Greg.
I've seen some of my really old videos, and yeah, it was a little bit of a different style that I had going back then. But yeah, some of the things that I talked about, it was just
Yeah, what you talked about and the things that were
yeah,
big back then compared
yeah,
to now.
yeah. That's yeah, HD DVD. I remember talking about that quite a bit. There's some interest that stuff that's either transitioned to like that it's a big thing now, or stuff that's just in the technological history heap pile there that that did not make it. There's some good ones with that stuff too. I'll have to take a look back through the archives, see what we can
Yeah.
find.
It'll be interesting. I think it's really fun to do that. Very cool. Well, I thank you so much. I see Vicky saying that that's why it's in the loop because it's future. I
There it
like
is.
it.
See, we're in the loop. In the loop. It'll all come around. But yeah, those were the big things that I saw this week. There's always a lot more going on as well. So just trying to keep up to date with everything. And I think over these next couple of weeks, we're going to have quite a bit that's going to be coming out. There's a lot of news on the way. So I'm looking forward to sharing all of that as well. And anybody who has anything you think that is interesting, please send it my way or tag me or email me or however you want to get a hold of me. Please do. Always love hearing about it. Or if you have a product or if you have a company that you think is making something really cool that you'd like to talk about, please send me an email. Get a hold of me. Love to hear from you.
Amazing, amazing. Yes, we would love to hear from you. And I'm going to just tell you, Greg, since you've been talking, I got to give an update, right? The Dow is now up 77 points. We'll take it. Thank you, Greg. The NASDAQ is up 206 points. And so let's hope that continues. And the S&P 500 is up 24 points currently as well. I guess, Greg, that's one of the perks of us actually doing the show while the market's live because it's actually kind of fun. It's just interesting. I've done that before where this was pre-pandemic, of course. I was at the trading floor in New York Stock Exchange, and I was watching as I was talking on CNBC, and I was watching how the market moved. And I'm like, that'd be really interesting if I had any input in that. I don't know.
If you're influencing it, maybe right now, I'm sure,
Who
they're all watching.
knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Invest, make it go up. But awesome. Well, I think that's all I have for this week on that end. And Winnie, is so good being here. And thanks everybody for joining us on a Friday as well. Appreciate that.
What a treat. What a treat to end the week with friends. Thank you so much, Greg.
Right.
Thank you so much for Vicky, Joshua, Sadiq, all our friends. We have so many people joining us today. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you so much. Of course, we hope that you're having a wonderful, wonderful weekend. This is a special one. We've got Father's Day for those of you who are celebrating on Friday. And we've got Juneteenth. I think that's being embraced and celebrated here in the United States on Monday. So some of you may have a 3-day holiday. Our team does, so we're gonna appreciate that quite a bit. But yeah, that's what we have.
So much going on, and yeah, I hope everybody has a great weekend. And yeah, we will talk to you next week.
Very good. Be well, everyone.
As I just hit my microphone, so classy way to end it. So, bye.
Bye. Take care, everyone.